for night one of our amazing new event, the Effing Fight 4. And I am so honored and humbled to be joined by my friends and freedom fighters and Nazi punchers, USMC Angry Vet Matt, and our friend Felice. Just before we get started, friends, all of our pay apps are included right here in the background. And big shout out to Cootery for putting this together for us. Please, everybody, engage in the live tonight to keep us active here. And again, I want to welcome everybody and just thank everybody. And Felice in particular gets a lot of the props for this because this was her idea long before the election. We've been talking about this forever, and we are finally here. Night number one of the Effing Fight 4 virtual town hall series. Welcome, Matt. Welcome, Felice.
Everyone tap the screen. Let's tap the screen. Let's see if we can get to 1 million likes tonight. You never, in 3 hours. I think that's a good goal. Tap the screen, share the live. I'm sure there's a lot of people that probably would want to hear what we're going to talk about. And I mean, whether they will hate it or love it, they'll want to hear it. I haven't added a background. I haven't been live like this in so long. How do I? Oh my gosh. I'm
green
like
screen.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's what it is. Oh yeah, I was like, God, it's been so long since I haven't been in TikTok Studio. I have no idea how to do
how to do any of this shit.
Oh, that's right.
Matt can't do anything.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
We're always in TikTok Studio.
We need to think about that for future events, I suppose, because that might be
we'll probably just do it.
I'm not in studio.
Oh no, we'll probably do it like this anyway, so we can have big boxes. Yeah. You can't have big boxes in studio.
Yeah, for whatever reason, they won't let you change the panel on.
TikTok really?
Studio. Yeah, it's dumb.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, just before we get started, guys, I kind of sent this to our friends here. I want to get rolling. So, a resistance movement is vital in challenging oppression and defending the fundamental rights and freedoms. It represents the courage of individuals and communities who stand against injustice, often at great personal risk. Through collective action, resistance can spark awareness, inspire change, and ultimately help build a more just and equitable society. So the whole purpose of what we're trying to do here is to continue to give voice to the voiceless. I know Felice does that in her lives. I do it on mine. Matt does it on his. We are trying to invoke conversation, want to create a space for people to be able to share what's on their mind as we're all in this together. We all approach things differently. We all have obviously different backgrounds, which is fantastic. We know Matt's directive. We know Felice's directive. For those of you who don't know mine, you should by now. There's a lot of crossover. But I thought what we would do tonight, and I shared this with my amazing friends and co-hosts here, just for you guys to kind of get to know us a little bit. I mean, you know us every single day. I know them, and I know they're exactly the same people that they are behind these screens or in these little boxes. But I thought we would kind of just do a little bit of intros. But before we start, any words from the two of you before we sort of jump into our plan for the evening?
Heck no, not for me.
Oh, I'm just excited to be here. Let's tap the screen. Sorry for getting Matt banned. Matt's on his back. Sorry for getting Matt banned.
Wait, what?
No, I didn't get Matt banned. Our ADHD took over. Oh, my gosh, I love these. Thank you. Our ADHD took over. That we started yelling about weapons for an hour and a half.
We were talking about that Christy Nome picture, and my main got banned for firearms and dangerous weapons for 3 days.
Gosh. Well, that's right. I just saw that in the thread. Yeah. Well, hey, you're doing something right.
In usual fashion, right. I didn't get in trouble at all because I'm adorable.
Obviously.
You are, totally. That's exactly right. We'll take one for the team. Well, you've taken enough for the team.
But I just want to say, let's tap the screen. We're almost to 25K. People that come to the People's Receipts, I know the deal. Like, it feels, and if people wonder why I'm obsessed with tapping the screen, I say it this way. It's like having a common goal, right? Mm-hmm. Like, when I feel so out of control, I like to set mini goals that we can all accomplish together. Maybe we can't do anything right now about Trump, but we can all tap the screen and get to 1 million likes together. Mm-hmm. Just like these are our pay ups, tips and donations. I mean, that's what I work off. Some people have other jobs. I don't. But we do appreciate all your support, and hopefully soon just keep in mind as we start talking about like building a resistance, this virtual town hall series, that's ultimately what it is. In what ways, what is your skill set, and how can you, if you are interested in helping, I love watching that corgi lick Matt.
I look down for a second, I look up, there's a dog like bouncing around on my screen.
Matt uncomfortable. You can tell.
I don't know how to handle that.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the gift. So thank you guys so much for support, but also think about this as a movement, a virtual town hall series. I was talking about this on Matt's live earlier. Like, it's the effing fight for, like you see in above Steve. So it's going to be the effing fight for healthcare, for education. Once we're in the midterms, for the election, to take back Congress. So there's many things that you will be passionate about, maybe some that aren't your cup of tea, but there will be volunteer opportunities to help us organize and do things. And so just think about like how this could apply to you, and if you would like to be involved in it, how so?
Right. And similar to the same vein as the hands-off movement a little bit, like you saw signs from various protests, hands off our bodies, hands off education, hands off healthcare, hands off trans kids, things like that. So it's similar in that vein because we all have individual fights. We're all in the collective, right, fighting for human rights, but individual things might be a priority, as we've all discussed. Matt, any other thoughts on that, my friend?
No, I think that this is a good way to show that resistance and activism doesn't have to be these grand gestures of action. They can be small things. You know, it can be tiny little. I've been going to my representative's office every single day. And
you have? Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah. Every day. They are very quickly not liking me in that office. And just going in and making sure that they know that we're not just sitting around. We're being active in this. And yes, Tara, joy is resistance as well. So finding a reason to smile.
Pleasure
and laugh.
Activism.
Yep.
Amen. It's a New York Times bestseller. Don't let them steal your joy. That's the first type of resistance, right? And we'll get into, I just want to say one last thing. And I don't know if Steve is live. I'm live on Twitch and YouTube. My YouTube's A Girl Has No Name, just like this account. So if anyone needs to watch the replays, we're either going to do these weekly or bi-weekly, something of that nature. We need to talk about it. But then if you ever can't see one or you miss one and you need to watch the replays, they post to my YouTube if you ever are wondering where you can find them.
Same here. It's on my YouTube as well. Same here. So thank you to our team. And thank you to all of our mods for everybody coordinated together to kind of help us make this thing a success. And as we all know, I know the two of you would agree that we can't do what we do without our amazing mod team. So thank you to all of them for helping us out. Talk about resistance. They don't take shit from anybody. So they resist everybody all day long. Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. They don't entertain anything.
So what I thought we would do, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of a conversation now, folks, and just and then at some point this evening we're going to open up the phone lines to go. I'm going back in time to bring folks up if they have questions. So what I would do is I thought I would just ask you guys a couple questions, and then I'll answer the same questions, and let's get the folks out there who don't know us maybe to know us a little bit more. So Felice, I'll start with you. Why do you do this every day?
Okay. I mean, I was thinking, I feel like I'm about to take a test, but I'm just going to speak from the heart. Why do I do this every day? I talk about it all the time. I was raised by a malignant narcissist. I was raised by someone like Trump, except for smarter, highly intelligent. So I understand my childhood experience was unique, and it was a bunch of gaslighting. I grew up as an highly evangelical. Religion was used to control me by someone who I suspected was not religious at all. Right. I mean, there were so many parallels between the fight of my childhood to survive and what I see going on in America now. And I talk about this all the time. Like, I used to always wonder, like, why did I go through all this trauma as a child? Like, what am I going to use it for? Well, I have now developed a unique skill set. I'm like Liam Neeson that is uniquely positions to me to fight. And I honestly feel like I want to use a metaphor like death by 1,000 cuts, right? That's how I see what Trump is doing to American democracy and the eroding of the Constitution. It's not going to happen. It's not like a light just turns off a light and it's all gone. We're all dying slowly. And when I have to watch that happen, when I watch everything that we have all worked to build, like, I don't know, our financial stability being taken away and things like that, all I know how to do is fight, right? Because like I always say on the People's Receipts, the one thing I'm sure about when dealing with a malignant narcissist is they will never stop. You have to stop them.
And one thing I'll say also, Felice, that, I mean, you're humble in this regard, but obviously, you know, the majority of streamers in the social space are men. I mean, the majority of podcasters are men. The majority of social creators that we recognize are all men. You know, and here you are, and I see you as such a strong voice in support of other women who want to do what you do. So take your flowers on that.
No, and that too, I do notice that. Like, it's like, yeah, I want people to know that, like, you know, I'm here and we can all do this too. I do see that. It is important to have examples and for people to see examples. You know, representation matters in many ways.
Matt, same question. Why do you do this every day?
I would really like to not have to do this every day. But you know, I feel like I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I'm watching the erosion of that document. It's not perfect, but it has potential. And I feel like I have to do something. And if, you know, what I'm doing is just coming out and making people aware of what I'm seeing from my point of view, and as long as people want to continue listening to it, then I'm going to keep doing it out here. If people stop listening to me on this app, then I'll just be harassing my representative at her office every day and her staffers there, because I think it's important to show people that, you know, it's not just talk, you know, like I'm willing to put boots on the ground and do the work as well. And if I can show somebody that there's a lot of, you know, specifically going and talking to your representatives and whatnot, there's a lot of intimidation about going there, because we've built up these Congress people as these, like, you know, mythical fucking beings or whatever somewhere. You know, showing that you can just walk into their office and be like, I got things I got to say to you. And just doing that every single day, I think, is a good way to kind of keep doing that. So I do this to not just get the emotions out that I need to get out, but also show people that it doesn't have to be anything big. It could literally just be going and talking to your representative staffers every day.
Yeah, we also see your humanity every day. We know how much you care about people, and not only the veteran community and helping get veteran service dogs and everything else. We see your humanity shine every single day. And like you said, we don't want to have to do this every single day, but there's so many things that we need to call out every single day. And it's similar for me. When I started on TikTok, it was, I wanted to test out some stand-up comedy. I wanted to test out some jokes. And then I was like, wow, there is a whole bunch of misinformation going around here. And as somebody who grew up in media and who served in my state legislature, I was like, wow, you know, there are politicians, many people may not believe this, but there are public servants who truly are in it to serve. And I know it's easy for us to say they're all bad, throw them in the shitter and get rid of them all, but there are genuine public servants who truly want to serve. And I was thinking that there might be an opportunity to remind folks of that. But again, for me, it was the big push on misinformation. And my show has kind of evolved over the last, you know, probably just prior to the election. We really don't do much in the way of debates anymore. And I've kind of said, I don't know if it's even worthwhile. Although Wednesday nights we do some one-on-one debates that we're using the channel, using that to raise money for charities. But for me, it's just about reminding people that misinformation is unacceptable, and we've got to teach media literacy and how do we fight back against, you know, confirmation bias and cognitive dissonance, and reminding folks that there are the better way to look at things. We don't have to accept status quo. One of the targets for me has been non-voters. I'm a big advocate for, Why is it that we struggle to get 62% of our registered voters to show up for a presidential election and less than that for midterms? It drives me absolutely bonkers. So that's one of my big pushes. And that's one of the reasons that I do it every single day. And people have come to trust the three of us. And I take that very seriously. I take that very, very seriously. And I know I'll speak for you guys. We thank you for the confidence and the trust that you put in us. And you put fuel in our tank. You are the wind beneath our wings. So
I always say it's a symbiotic relationship, right? I mean, I say that all the time on my life. It's symbiotic. Like, you guys keep me going. Right. I try to keep everyone sane with the truth, and that's how we operate.
100%.
So as we're kind of moving through this again, everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. Please keep tapping and sharing this.
Almost to 100K.
We're going to probably, like Felice said, we're going to determine whether or not this is going to be an every week kind of thing, but it will be on Tuesdays, most likely going forward. We're probably going to likely create a Discord for it. We talked briefly today about creating an email address to address specific concerns and or questions. So that'll all be coming, but this is the test drive tonight. So everybody, thank you for being here. Really appreciate that. All right. Who are you fighting for? Matt, who are you fighting for?
Specifically, I'm fighting for my daughters. And my son. Obviously my daughters, because we've continued to see the erosion of women's bodily autonomy and just their rights to exist as they see fit for their own life. My son, because he has autism that does not set him back in any way, shape, or form, makes him a hell of a human being. Who I'm proud of every single day. And I'm continuing to see RFK Jr. and HHS demonizing the autistic community. I fight for the progress, not the regress, of the Constitution. If we're going to hold on to the Constitution of the United States, then I want to see that document evolve to include everybody at the table and not just rich white men. I want, I fight because I fight for diversity in our society, recognizing that having a diverse society of many different opinions, ideals, cultures, experiences, education makes us stronger, not weaker. And if you need an example of that, the one that I always love to go back to is that we would never have won World War II without the indigenous nations providing their languages to allow us to communicate across enemy lines without fear of that being deciphered or broken. If we didn't have that diversity, if we didn't have that culture, if we didn't have that difference, we would have been weaker as a nation. And so those are the big reasons why I'm fighting.
Thank you for that. Felice, same question. What are you fighting for?
Yeah. Who am I fighting for? It might sound a little generic. I started as a teacher, and I see absolutely children are the most valuable resource that we have. And for some reason, we've gotten completely away from acknowledging that. But it's not even just children. I think it's, when I was really thinking about this, when you sent these questions, it's all of us, because inside, it's everyone's inner child, right? It's that scared, innocent, beautiful inner child that knows the difference between right and wrong. Like, that's what I fight for. When I see the breakdown of truth, the spreading of disinformation and misinformation, and watch like the apathy set in, the light go out of people's eyes who are just like, hey, like, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to be paralyzed with fear. I've been at that place in my life so many times, and that's what I want. I want to show people, hey, as a woman, as being indigenous Mexican, as being Black, multiracial, as I identify mostly, as being pansexual, like, we don't have to be paralyzed in fear, right? And also because as a teacher, I truly believe that education, right? That is how you lift people up out of poverty, but also out of apathy and fear, right? Every day, I think we all start the day very anxious, and sometimes it gets worse throughout the day. And all I'm trying to do is show people, like, hey, the more we educate ourselves together on the people's receipts, it's how we take our power back.
I so love that. Similar. I mean, I it goes without saying that I'm fighting for my two boys and my 17-year-old daughter, and I'm also fighting for people that I don't know, that I have never met, but I know that are oppressed by the system that we live in, a system built by people who look like me to benefit people who look like me. I'm fighting to use my white privilege for good, white privilege that I grew up in, that was afforded to me, that I didn't ask for, but that I certainly enjoyed the fruits thereof. I am fighting for the memory of my mother, who was the most influential person in my life, without question, the smartest person I've ever known. And she just reminded me, I was so fortunate growing up in a very, very white area of the world, very, very fortunate to be exposed to the reasons that, as to Matt put it, of the importance of diversity and why our differences make us stronger, and all those things, and the importance of education. And remember her saying, "Is your homework done?" I'm like, no, but just reminding me how incredibly important it was. And I will fight for people that I don't know as hard as I'll fight for the people that I do. And that's what gets me up every single day. Every single day. By the way, my daughter's in France, and she reminded me, "Dad, could I go to school over here?" And I'm like, yes, you could, and maybe you should.
I can't wait to visit her.
So, exactly. You and me both.
I know. I can't wait. Don't leave without me. I want to, and one more thing, and then a super chat. I just want to say this. I also am fighting for MAGA. Right?
Indeed. Good question.
Even in your ignorance, while you prop up the people who are robbing us all, and I see people like saying that we're whining in the chat, right? I'm fighting for you too, because you're struggling to read and do math correctly, and you believe that immigrants are in fact robbing you and have your money. And I want to be clear, because I'm a teacher, so I'm never talking about someone who really struggles to read or do math, right? Because I'm someone that I had to go to extra help to get to where I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about willful ignorance, right? Even in your willful ignorance, while you continue to support the people that are home invading you every single night and stealing from you, I am fighting for all of us, because we're all in the same life raft together, being robbed by the same people. So even despite all the insults, the D threats, and everything else, and just the abject ignorance that is on display every day, also I fight for MAGA. Because as a teacher, everyone deserves an education. Everyone.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I hear you talk about this in your lives, Matt, too, about fighting for the truth, right? I mean, we can't ever relent on having the truth, like in these conversations. That's why it's frustrating for, especially the three of us are all empaths, when we feel people who are just intentionally harming individuals for no reason other than the cruelty, other than their various phobias and their fears. We can't, this is, for me, this leads to the next question about the resistance. We cannot give in and relent to the truth, and we cannot relent to protecting those that can't protect themselves, or giving voice to the voiceless, things like that. So with that being said,
real quick, I just want to read this super chat. Someone, Filipina Zena, thank you. Someone said, "I love McAngry, a girl has no name but comes with facts over feelings live." I love McAngry, girl has no name but comes with facts over feeling lives. Love you guys. Keep up the fight and never give up. Thanks, Filipina Zena. You're the best.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. So the idea of resistance or revolution, what does it mean to you guys? Matt, I'll start with you. What does it mean to you to be part of the resistance and or part of the revolution?
That's a big question. Okay, so what does it mean to be, for me, what does it mean to be a part of the resistance or revolution? Or what does it mean
do you see yourself as part of the resistance and the revolution?
I see all of us as a part of it, whether we think we are or aren't. Because the way that the country is going, the way that society is moving, it's going to affect everybody. So whether you feel like you're a part of something or you don't feel like it, you are. So for me, I always go back to that. To answer the question, like, what does it mean to be a part of this? I always go back to that quote from The Hobbit, the movie, not the book, because they added it in. But I love it. I love it. Where Gandalf is talking about how Saruman sees the resistance of people in grand gestures, the strongest people. But Gandalf says, that's not the way that I see it. I see resistance in the everyday average person going about their life, right? And I think thinking about it like that, it's not ignoring the problems, but not allowing the problems to bog you down and strip away what makes you you, right? And so to be a part of a resistance or a revolution or, a movement or whatnot, it's literally just bringing what makes you you to that experience, right? What do you bring in? Is it creating art? Then keep creating art. Don't stop. Right? Are you a musician? Then keep writing songs, keep singing, because what things like what we're seeing right now, what fascist authoritarians want is for you to be bogged down. They want you to be, feel
paralyzed
hopeless
by fear,
and paralyzed,
distracted,
so that you don't do those things. But I like ending my live. I wasn't able to do it today because TikTok banned me randomly, but I like ending my life by reminding everybody that joy is resistance. So find a reason to smile today. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be these big grand gestures of protest or, speaking out or whatnot. It could literally just be giving a neighbor a hot meal. That is a form of resistance. So to be a part of it is literally to just find that thing that you're good at and keep doing it.
Great answer. Felice, same question. To mean to you?
Matt stole so much of my answer. No, I think, no, I'll say this. I think that for me, right, a lot of what we're going through right now, and same thing, very similar to my childhood and being raised by a malignant narcissist, the goal, if you think about all the things you need to do to survive, it feels insurmountable, right? It feels like, oh, I can't do all this, right? And so that's how I always call them mini wins. Also, as like a Division I athlete, it's like there's a huge goal out there, but like there's these little things you can do every day, one at a time, right? And that's how I see everything I'm doing. Every time I make an outline, every live, it's just a mini win, right? Like, and that's how I look at it. Is like, of course, this seems insurmountable, and maybe it is. Maybe we can't even win, but life is in the journey, right? It's in the fight. It's in what you learn about yourself while fighting for, while resisting. I feel like in certain ways, my whole life has been a resistance. So it's like, and that has made me such a better person. So yeah, it's like less about like, oh my God, there's this insurmountable goal. And, maybe we will, this is the decline of an empire, and can we drag it back or stave it off for long enough or whatever the case may be? But it's not. It's a resistance is in the little things you do every day. Like Matt said, whether that's bringing joy to people's life, or for me, it's bringing truth and education and making sure that forever and always in the Wayback Machine, the truth, no matter how they try to erase it, will be documented. So yeah, and for everyone else, it's different. We all have unique skill sets, right? I talk about, like, I'm a teacher, I worked in advertising and marketing, but we all have things we're good at. Like, look at Cooterie's art and what it's doing on the internet, how she can express herself and build her portfolio and help us make a difference. Like, there's all these natural things that we're good at. And as a teacher, I always say, you don't have to change yourself. You take what you're good at and you figure out how you can use that skill set as a tool. So that's what I see resisting as. It's a series of little things you do every day. It's refusing to give in, right? It's refusing to it's getting back up even. It's, you're going to fail over and over. You're going to feel beaten. And it's just standing back up is resistance.
I totally agree. I mean, some people would say that I'm stubborn. I'm not. I prefer to use the word tenacious. I do not accept defeat easily. Oftentimes, I'll replay it in my mind. Like, what could I have done differently, or what did I do wrong, or how could I help? And that's kind of what I see. Like, I feel rejuvenated by the tenacity because we all have something that we never expected to have to fight for, right? So resistance to me is part of that, showing other people who may not have, who may not think they have any part to play, Whether it be like we talked about, it may not be running for office. It may just be knocking on doors. It may not be writing campaign speeches. It might just be going to a Planned Parenthood and standing guard for somebody for a woman who wants access to healthcare, or baking bread at a bake sale, or coaching Little League, or doing whatever that might be. Because all those things, because I look at it as a community resistance, right? Because all boats rise. The stronger our communities are, the better we all are. And I think back to something that Steve Bannon talked about, the muzzle velocity of disinformation. And you both touched on this. The more they throw at us, the weaker they expect us to become. And in many cases, it's working. It's been a strategy from the right for decades. Overwhelm the airwaves. They are kicking our ass in social spaces. We know that. We know what legacy media refuses to cover the twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing, fraudster, convicted felon properly. So we have to. So it's inspiration for me. To wrap it all up, it's inspiration, inspiring others to do one thing that might help the rest of us by setting examples.
May I say one more thing?
When you, for example, for you, one thing real quick, for you, it's okay. For you, Matt, like going to your representative every single day, that should inspire people that if he can do that every day, I can do it once. So sorry, Felice, go ahead.
Yeah, no, she's awful. She deserves it.
She's terrible.
I'm sorry.
She's so
He's particularly as an awful person that in his district. Anyway, she is horrific. Claudia Tenney, in case anyone doesn't know who we're talking about. I wanted to say this too, and this is one of the biggest lessons from my childhood. Like I said, I didn't understand what I was doing. I just knew no matter what was, every time I'd get kicked and knocked down as a child, I'd just stand back up. But the lesson to me was growing in the most chaotic times, right? When you're everything is out of control, down is up is down. There's no rules. All I want is some safety and consistency, and all of that is gone. There are amazing opportunities in complete chaos. That's when you find out who you are. And when everything is in chaos and disarray, there's huge opportunities to take back power, to prove to yourself who you are. I mean, that is the message I want people to know. If you can just focus on the little things, do little things each day, and understand when they create this much chaos, when they shake the very foundations of the American institutions, this may not go their way either, right? There's huge opportunity in chaos. You never know who is going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I just had a quote about chaos and I lost it, but I'll remind myself again. And that kind of leads us to the next question about how we've all said it's about doing something. So, what would be your advice to people who've never felt, whether it be people who've been, again, if this offends you, then maybe check this. If you've been living in your privilege for a long time, expecting somebody else to carry the water for you, or if you thought, I don't need to vote, my vote doesn't matter. Or, are you paying attention? Or are you just accepting the status quo? So what would be your advice? Felice, I'll start with you. What would be your advice to people who are now, or maybe are starting to wake up, who watch us every day and realize some of the things we're talking about might be actually happening, and we are in the upside down, as you put it?
We are in the upside down. Well, that's what I'm saying. And I would challenge everyone to say this. And I always say, I've been recently reading numbers about how few Americans have passports, particularly nobody on the right. And some of the best lessons I've learned is living outside the United States in third world countries. I'm telling you that as Americans, we are crippling ourselves with our own comfort and apathy. We are not feeling, we are not living. We have a unique opportunity to actually live, to fight for something that matters, to strengthen our bonds, our familial bonds, our community bonds, reestablish community, establish networks of, oh my God, what am I trying to say that communists are always up to? Where they are, mutually exchanging goods with no
a bartering system.
No, what? Oh my gosh, what do they call it? Mutual aid. Yeah, establish networks of establish networks of mutual aid. Get to know your neighbors. Right. We don't want to remain in America just people who never come out of our houses and order things off Amazon. I actually see this. I mean, I didn't want it this way. It seems like as Americans, we always have to learn the hard way. But the hard way is also going to bring beautiful things, right? We're all connecting in ways we never would. We're going to learn how to protest. Like, here we go. I was talking to Matt and Steve, like these protests that are happening. I don't know. It's funny that for-profit media isn't covering them. It's almost like they're scared of what Trump will do if they do. But these are bigger than the Vietnam War protests. These are the biggest protests in American history. And barely anyone's even protesting yet. Like,
I know.
I mean, we have unique opportunities to find out who we are, learn about ourselves, learn about each other, and establish unbreakable bonds. And I mean, I don't want to be here, but I'm excited about the positives that I can also see coming out of it.
Yeah, agreed. It's very, very well said. Matt, for you, I think you've already touched on this a little bit. People feeling, like, what do they feel stuck? They're the tidal wave of chaos and mayhem and anxiety is just pouring over their heads. And we're all here. So the tide will rise and fall. What would your advice be to people who are stuck, so to speak?
I would really impress on people two things. One, the senators and representatives in Congress, in your state, your local city council, board of education members, they're just people too.
Exactly.
And we shouldn't have this, this fear of just going and expressing our concerns with other just people, right? But I also get that there's this aura around the office, right? You're in Congress. So there's this pedestal that you're automatically put on because you're there. And it's intimidating to go because you see that person as somebody with power. I want people to recognize that being courageous, having courage, isn't being not afraid. It's about feeling that fear and doing it anyway. Fear is a motivator. Fear and intimidation, all of that are emotions that you can use to get yourself taking that first step. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's recognizing the fear and doing it anyway. So don't let anybody tell you that you're not courageous because you're afraid to do something. If you didn't have fear, there's no reason to have courage. That's
You might be a sociopath.
Yeah, you might be which could get you elected president, I guess, or vice president. I'm not saying anyway. But yeah, don't let anybody tell you that just because you are afraid or scared that you're not strong and courageous. Also, that would be what I would impart on everybody.
I love that. I love that. Sorry, Felice, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, and one more thing, because I see people in the comments who are like, well, I have agoraphobia. I want to be clear. What I want everyone to do is think about adaptive civil disobedience, right? Because not everybody has to be in the streets with a sign. I want you to know that. We don't need everyone in jail. We can't all be in jail at once, right? We need a network of support people. Maybe you make a lot of money and you have dependents and you're like, I need this job. Then maybe you can support people who are protesting, right? I talk about this all the time. Like, I want to start reaching out to people. Like, one of the we should come up with a nonprofit that's a legal defense fund for people who are going to be sort of on the front lines. But this is approach. Everything we do, every time we raise our voices, right? You can protest on the internet. I'm sure there's a lot of people who, for different reasons, like I used to be immunocompromised, so I fully understand. I also used to have agoraphobia. I've been diagnosed with PTSD. So if you're in a place in your life with mental health where that's not possible, that's okay. But there's other things you can do. You can be in a support group. You can be on a support team, or even, I'm sure there's a lot of people start a Discord for people that maybe they can't get out there, but they want to start doing things too. Like, just be creative, because I'm not saying everybody get out and zip tie yourself to a pole. That's not going to be helpful. We can't
Matt,
all do that.
Ignore what she just said. Do not listen to Felice.
We got Matt. We got the Matts.
Oh, are you kidding me? I already am planning to do all of that. So that's
no, it's a very valid point, and we talk about this a lot. It's like the mantra. I try to close my show most days with about doing something, right? We all have the capacity to do something, and again, we're all very sensitive to everyone's personal situation. I would never ask somebody to put themselves in a harmful situation. You got to protect your peace, but there's something that we can all do. It might just be as simple as calling somebody or visiting someone that you haven't seen in a while, or maybe you're a crafter. Maybe you want to, encourage your friends and families to do a lemonade stand, reading to kids after school. There's something that we all can do. And I think that's the whole point here. And I'm glad you said what you said earlier too, Felice. This is for our friends on the right as well, because their lives are being impacted too. And this is where the empath in me comes screaming out. Right? We know that I'm not interested in breaking bread, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on this. We had a really, really sort of intense moment in one of my lives last week where someone was who has leaned left, but still had some of their best friends that were MAGA voters. And I said, why? Like, why are they still your friends? I get it with family. I understand it's a more complicated dynamic. I can understand that more, although I would still separate and disassociate. So that question came like, you're choosing to have a person in your life who literally votes against the things that you care about. So I'm hoping that some of those people who are wearing their red hats will eventually realize that what they have done is harm other people without any justification other than hatred. And it's a tough nut to crack. Friends and family.
That's a hard thing. Yeah. I mean, because multiple things can be true at once. And like that, those are the facts, right? Because I understand that uniquely, because like I talk about this all the time. Both my parents voted for Donald Trump, pretty much my entire family. And a lot of that is through religious reasons. So it's a struggle. I mean, but I also, I have some close friends who my bond is through mental health issues, right? PTSD, extreme trauma. And so some of the people that have gone through those type of things and the only people in the world who can understand what it's like, to be locked in a closet without food for days happen to be people who are quite damaged and might be voting for Donald Trump. So yeah, I think that, what you have to be able to do is really, in my point of view, set healthy boundaries and make sure that, you don't lose yourself in any relationship with anyone. I used to really lack healthy boundaries, and like my opinions would get lost at times. I know that seems unbelievable knowing now, because I'm just like, I'm screaming my opinion. But I didn't used to be like that. I would just, whoever I was around, I would almost become
believe that.
I would almost become who they wanted to be. Well, 6 years of therapy has made me into a different person. But like I was a chameleon, and I'd be like, what does this person want from me? And then I would just become that immediately. So for me, what if you feel good inside, if you are setting healthy boundaries, if you are clear about your beliefs, if you are being listened to in a friendship or a relationship and it's symbiotic and healthy, then fine. But if you're getting run over by, some delusional MAGA person who's not listening when you speak, well, that's not a healthy relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to hear you say that. And just as a reminder, real quick, for those of you that are just joining, welcome to night number 1 of the Effin' Fight For virtual town hall series that myself and Felice and Matt will be doing. We're working on a cadence. It might be every week. It might be every other week, but you will see us at a minimum of 2 nights a month as we're working to try to remind people that there is a lot of fighting ahead. And we are encouraging people to be involved, and we want to create this space to help raise voices of the voiceless and create an opportunity for people to either learn and or make suggestions to us. There may be things that aren't even on our radar of things that we're talking about as to how to resist, or organizations that of that are sort of small incremental change makers in their society, or there might be education programs in impoverished communities that are trying to rise up, or community activism. All these kinds of things are on the table. So that's what we're talking about tonight. Everybody keep tapping and sharing.
Yeah, this means tap the screen. If anyone's like, what's wrong with Felice and her weird thing? This is not a nervous twitch. I'm not flailing. This just means tap the screen. We're trying to get to 1 million likes today. Yes, it's Morse code. This is SOS. Yes. No, yes. Okay, let's tap the screen We are almost to 200K. Tapping is clapping. Our pay apps are right here. We probably need to make them darker now. I'm like, I can't even see them. But yeah, if you would like to tip us or donate, thank you so much for helping us. We appreciate it, gift. But this just means tap, because that's the best way you can support us.
Matt, I wanted to I didn't give you this question, but I was thinking about this today, and I know, and we don't have to get too personal if you don't want to, but I know in your veteran community, and there's got to be things that just really get under your skin. I mean, I'm putting it mildly. When you see Pete Kegsbreath, cirrhosis of defense, as you call him, and then you go to the VA, and then you see people that are obviously Trump supporters or oath breakers or whatever you want to call them. How do you manage to not lose your shit, or do you?
I ignore those people there, unless they come and talk to me. It's hard because obviously when we first started this, I said that I took an oath to the Constitution to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I'm watching a large portion of the veteran community just say, nah, that didn't really mean what it should mean, right? We've got the sitting commander-in-chief saying that not everybody's going to get a trial. Not everybody's entitled to a trial. You've got the sitting vice president saying that, for this administration to adhere to due process under the Constitution is not feasible for what they're trying to do. You've got the Secretary of Defense sending out, war plans to 2 different signal chats now, with a variety of people that don't have any reason to know any of that information. And I'm watching a large portion of the veteran community and the active duty military community and whatnot just continue to support this shit. And it's disappointing. Like, it used to piss me off. Now I'm just disappointed in my community, because it literally just tells me that, the oath that they swore isn't the same that I swore. I've been pretty consistent in, if there's violations to the Constitution, I don't care who the president is. I don't care. The Constitution, for all the good and the bad that comes with it, there's potential in that document to be better as a society. And if it's not worth standing up for and fighting for what's there right now, then there's no reason to continue fighting for it for the future. And that hurts, as, a person that rose his right hand and swore an oath to that document, to hear people say, well, due process, like, does everybody get it? I mean, yeah, everybody does. And it's just one of those things where it's disappointing. It's hurtful. And I'm watching all the shit that's happening at the VA. The Syracuse VA right now, we have no providers for cardiology, intensive radiation therapies. We have no providers for, we're down to, I think, 1 provider for ortho down here. And you're talking the Syracuse VA, there's tens of thousands of veterans that are getting their care at the Syracuse VA, and providers are being let go and fired. And so, watching the country itself just turn its back on the promises made to this community, and then within this community, watching them turn their back on the oath, it's just been it's been hard. It's been hurtful.
Yeah, I mean, we often talk, and Felice and I talked about this a little bit yesterday, about how people say oftentimes that folks voted against their best interest in the last election. And I don't really see it that way. I see it more of a preservation of whiteness, quite frankly.
Sure.
I see communities, especially members of the veterans community that I've spoken to them, and it just seems, to your point, you don't get to pick and choose. You take an oath to the Constitution, not elements of it, things that you like and things that you don't. And we've had conversations with women who voted for what they have in the office now, or members of the LGBTQIA community. And I feel like they're voting. It's not just that they're voting for their best interest or against their best interest. They're voting for something. It seems to me it's like voting for the preservation of whiteness and white supremacy and the patriarchy. Felice, would you? I know we talked about that. Would you agree with that, or do you feel like there's another angle there? It's very nuanced, obviously, but
no, yeah, like the history teacher, the history researcher in me is going to come out. Like I talk about this all the time. I mean, there's a great book that talks about the wages of whiteness, right? And I think that I would say, there's a belief, yes, in this country that you're all on one team. I mean, I think that's why we see it, and we talk about, right, like Western civilization is built on white supremacy, and the other side of that coin is what am I trying to say? Misogyny, right? I mean, it's the patriarchy. It's the patriarchy, yep. Right? Yep. And that is, and people always say, well, why would white women vote against their own? I mean, and I'm saying this, I'm not talking about my feelings. If you're listening to this, none of these are my feelings. I'm now talking about math, I'm talking about statistical analysis. I'm talking about impact studies. White women do not benefit from conservative policy. Right? In any way. But that exchange of power is, hey, we vote together and you protect me. But when there's a complete breakdown of that, which I think we are now seeing, I mean, it's interesting to watch, like, how far does that unholy pact last? But I think that even more importantly, I speak to MAGA men, because I think what we have here is the education system has failed a lot of people. That's the reality. You are not, in fact, on a team. Yeehaw. Thank you for the hat. You are not, in fact, on a team with billionaires. They're robbing you mathematically, right? Since you heard the words trickle down economics from Reagan, all that has happened is trickle up. Huge transfers of wealth. And whilst you were told, hey, you're special, you're a YT man, while you are feeling special, you are being robbed. You are actually in the lifeboat with the rest of us, right? Because there is racial divides in this country, but more importantly, there's class divides. And we are all, regardless of color, in the middle and lower classes, being robbed by the same people. So maybe you get pulled over less by the police, right? Maybe people cross the street less when you're walking down the street. I'm not saying there's no privileges to being a YT man. I think that there are in society. What I'm telling you, though, is you're still being robbed. That's what they wanted, to trick you. So you felt special. So they can continue robbing you.
Speaking of education, I found this was an opinion poll done by ABC, and they broke it down into two distinct categories: white men and women with and without a college degree. So this is the favorability opinion of Trump, right? So white men, no college degree, to plus 41 favorability. White men with a college degree, plus 1. White women, no college degree, plus 14. And white women with a college degree, minus 38. So that tells me everything that we need to know, quite frankly, right? So even white men with a college degree, it's still plus 1. So that's a a rounding error, basically, if you're talking about from a political science perspective. But those two distinct categories, white men no degree, white women with a degree, that's a 79-point swing between the favorability, between 41 plus for white men, 38 in the negative for women. That tells us a lot. I think that tells us a lot. And again, this goes back to what we discussed a little bit earlier about how, for me, it's about education. I'm glad you said what you said, Felice. It's about, if I were to prioritize my targets, it's about public education reform, access to affordable healthcare. I don't want little bites of the ACA. I want universal fucking healthcare. And if my elected officials aren't going to stand there and campaign on it, they're not going to get my support. Period. I want public education reformed. I want the best public education system in the world. I want our teachers to be fought over. I want it to be so competitive that they're being flown in and they're being wined and dined and just dined, not wined, just dined, so that we can have the best education system. I want money out of politics. I want court reform. I want responsible firearm legislation. These are the kinds of things that we all talk about. And I know a lot of people say that. And I think if you took away the party affiliation, if you remove the D and the R from legitimate political discourse, and nobody knew who you sided with, we're all in the same uniform, we all look the same, and you introduce those ideas to people, I think the overwhelming majority of people would agree. But they're conditioned to think that education means LGBTQ stuff, indoctrination. Healthcare is communism. So universal healthcare is firearm reform. Oh, you're coming for my guns. No, we're not. We're not.
It's a purposeful misdirection by the top 1% to the bottom 99%. Correct. Is literally what it is. That's all it is. The top 1% has convinced the bottom 99% that we're the problems amongst ourselves. The 1% of the population that makes up the trans community is the problem, right? And so now we've got people out here being like, we should just let people exist, right? Which is exactly what it should be, right? That's exactly a worthy fight to be going after and fighting. But it's a fight that has been brought to our doorstep, not because of any moral outrage initially, right? But because the top 1% has convinced everybody that the bottom 1% is causing all the damn problems. And as soon as we figure out, because let's be real, there is no middle class anymore. There is no middle class. We don't have a middle class in this country. There 100%. There is the top 100%. 1%, and then there's the rest of us. And that's Correct. What it is. The top 1% continues to make more and more money at the expense of the bottom 99%. Period. We will never, with the system that we have set up right now, we will never see a middle class return if we don't make a systemic change in the way that we go about taxing not just the bottom 99%, but the top 1%. There is no reason why a teacher in this country should only have $700 of tax write-offs that they are legally allowed to write off for materials that they buy out of pocket for their classrooms. But billionaires can write off jets and yachts and spaceships and all kinds of other shit for billions and billions of dollars of tax write-offs. There's no reason that right there. I don't understand why that's not a rallying cry for the bottom 99% against the top 1%. It blows my mind. But I say this all the time. Felice is here. It's one of my favorite quotes by Noam Chomsky, that the greatest lie perpetrated against the American worker is that they're not exploited labor, but a temporarily embarrassed millionaire.
It is so true. And I think what you speak to is the fact that for those 99%, the white voters, like we talk about often, they feel that if they're given an advantage, that means that women are, that means that brown-skinned people are, that means that members of LGBTQIA, because they don't want equality, they want more than, they want to continue to be able to other, right? So when I say it's all men, it's all men until it's no men. I know Matt says the same thing, and it's all white people until it's no white people. That is the reality that we're in. Again, if you're bothered by that, then I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. Get over it. Do something about it.
That I talk about this too. That is just the basis of the United States of America's societal, impact on itself, right? This goes all the way back to Bacon's Rebellion in like 1730 or whatnot, where, oh my gosh, all of these poor white and black people are going to rise up against me, this rich white person. So let me convince those poor white people that they're better than the poor black people because we're the same.
Yeah. Tom Bomba in the chat. So someone making 150K as a family is not middle class? No.
Oh, are you
not
joking?
Even close, my guy.
Sorry, bro.
Not even close.
Sorry.
That's so sad that you think that.
You can request if you want to come up and talk to us about that, but it's
The answer is no.
Depends on where you live,
I'm not saying that wherever you live, the cost of living might be where you're able to live comfortably on $150,000. That doesn't mean that you're middle class.
Correct.
That means that you live in a poor state where the cost of living has to be at a rate much lower than what your income is. That means that the majority of the people living in your state are impoverished. So just because you're not impoverished,
by California and New York,
just because you're impoverished does not mean that you're middle class. You're still in lower class United States of America because there is no middle class anymore.
It's almost like people like Tom have this vision of what they think the middle class is. He might own a home, might have a car, might have the white picket fence, and that in the mind of people like that think that that's middle class. That's not. That's working poor. Thankfully, you're in this system because, as Felice pointed out earlier, this is a class war. This shouldn't be right versus left. This is what, sadly, the messaging machine from the evangelical right has tried to do for the last 40 years. And we have to be objective. They're very good at it. And that's one of the reasons that we're in this place now. They're very, very good at it. People like Charlie Kirk that are out there, he's very good at what he does. It's as despicable and horrible as he is, he's just very good at it. And we don't have that level of resistance, which is part of why we're doing this again. So for those of you who are just joining us, we really appreciate you being here. Night number 1 of the F and Fight 4 virtual town hall series with Matt, with Felice. We're working on a more consistent schedule, but you'll get to see more of us in this environment. We're going to have special guests. We'll have subject matter experts. We're going to talk to educators. We're going to talk to physicians. We're going to talk to mental health specialists. We're going to talk to economic advisors and experts. We're going to talk to oil and gas experts. That's our goal. So this would turn into a town hall type of event. And right now, if anybody has any questions, the box is open. We'll save a seat for you.
I want to say something because for Tom. Tom. I just am gonna hit you with some math because I'm always doing statistical analysis. So just like on the transfer of wealth since 1980, that's what we need to look at because it's all relative, right? But since 1980, the only thing that's happened is transfer of money upwards. We are gaining the middle class, what we call the middle class, which we're out now just a group of poor people, and the very, very rich we have not gained any ground. And I just want to read a couple things. The top 1% income share more than doubled from 10.7% in 1980 to 22% in 2022. The bottom 50% income share fell. We had 20% of the income in 1980 to just 13% in 2022. That's why we need to be upset, right? It's not about, hey, can you survive on so little? It's about we are being robbed statistically. Transfers of wealth to the top of the economy. I could give you thousands of examples. Real wage growth, the top 1% from 1979 to 2022, real wage growth, top 1%, plus 206%, Tom. Bottom 90%, plus 28%. Look, I mean, the gap just keeps widening. We should be mad at the right people. That's the point. Don't worry about how much melanin anyone has. Don't worry about who anyone wants to have sex with behind closed doors. Don't worry about where people are peeing. None of that matters. We are being robbed. I mean, that's the most plain I could say it. It's terrifying. 0.1% of wealth share grew from 7% in 1980. This is the 0.1%, the top of the economy. It grew from 7% in 1980 to 20% in 2022. The bottom 50% wealth share collapsed. This is the bottom 50%. 50%. They had 3.6% of the wealth in 1980 to 1.5%. We have the bottom 50% of this country, that's all of us, Tom, has 1.5% of the wealth. Yeah, what you have to be able to do is statistical analysis and understand that it doesn't matter how you feel. Like, I feel like I'm okay. I feel like my family's okay. I feel like my kid's okay. We are unequivocally being robbed.
Yes.
Happened today as the Dow grew 1,000 points. A massive transfer of wealth happened right in front of our eyes by design, self-inflicted. What do you call it? Ballistic podiatry, Felice? I love that term.
Holistic podiatry, shooting yourself in the foot.
I love that. So don't forget when we had the market correction, I'll call it market manipulation. That's what we'll call it. The president had Charles Schwab or whoever the fuck it was in his office claiming, hey, this guy made $2.5 billion today. This guy made $900 million today. And they're playing in your face.
Almost to 300K. Keep tapping.
That's what we're talking about. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah. Let me just throw one piece of I love this little bit of knowledge here. We could take $6.5 trillion from every billionaire in this country and not lose a single billionaire.
Correct.
$6.5 trillion with a capital T dollars from every billionaire in this country and not lose a single billionaire.
There was that famous interview that Bill Gates did on Colbert, right? And Colbert's like, they were doing the math and Bill Gates said, I could give up 99% of my income, and that would be impactful. And Colbert's like, but you'd still be a billionaire. Yeah. He's like, yeah. So, Elon Musk will soon be within the next 5 years, depending on how it goes, the world's first trillionaire.
Right.
And we are complaining. There's people who would benefit from things like universal health care
and homelessness,
for example,
100 billion,
and homelessness and poverty, all these kinds of things. This is the stuff that we're fighting for. These are the kinds of things. Matt's fighting for the veteran community who are going to be rounded up into internment camps because they happen to be houseless and or victims or suffering from substance abuse disorder. Felice is fighting for kids because she's been through classrooms and knowing how much teachers put out of pocket just to kind of keep things going. Public education. I'm fighting for that in healthcare. I demand the fact that I remember specifically fighting at sitting across the office from our patient advisor where my daughter's getting pumped with radiation and chemotherapy. And they're saying, well, we have to charge you for this because it's outside of the protocol. I'm like, fuck you are. And thank God at that time I had decent insurance. The entire bill cost $500,000. $500,000 over the course of 4.5 years. That is absolutely unacceptable. It is unacceptable. And if we can't find common ground on that, then I don't know what to say other than we have to keep fighting. I
want to say one more thing. Listen to this, Tom, because I'm not attacking you. Like Steve said, I'm a teacher. I just want you to understand that the math is not mathing. We are being robbed. $50 trillion, $50 trillion. Okay. I want you to think about why conservatives are always saying we're in debt, but they're not paying off any debt. They're just getting richer. They're giving themselves tax cuts. $50 trillion shifted from the bottom 90% to the top 1% between 1980. That's why I always say when they started telling you that everything was going to trickle down from 1980 to 2022, $50 trillion has shifted to the top of the economy. 50 trillion. That's from, and if anyone's running, that's the Rand Corporation statistic. So you can look that. I just want everyone to know where I got that from. And that's just to piggyback off what Facts says and why it's so important. I'm not asking you to believe the same as me. I'm asking you to understand statistical analysis and understand that, hey, we're all being robbed by the same people. And I want to explain something. In every developed country in the world, let's take Italy. Tom, you can be a fascist on the far right fringes and doing whatever you want to do over there. And I can be over on the far left fringe and all those people get to go to the doctor for free. We are the only country. Healthcare should have nothing to do with politics. You should not have to pledge your life to a corporation so you can go to the doctor and your kids can go to the doctor. Everyone can have their own political beliefs and be wackos in other countries and go to the doctor for free. We are the only country in the developed world that does not have universal healthcare. It does not matter whatever people tell you, it's not true. And here's a little secret that people don't understand. If you don't understand the mathematics behind universal healthcare and Medicare for all, it's cheaper, right? Our tax dollars, when people are uninsured, we're paying for them anyways.
Right.
Just know that. Yeah. If when people show up to the emergency room with no healthcare, we're paying for them anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned this earlier, Matt, like one of the contracts and one of the guarantees you get for, raising your right hand.
The healthcare system is not
is
better than Canada. That's not true. I'm sorry. I just saw someone say that, and I just, listen, none of the numbers bear that out. Like, that's just something that you hear conservatives say. It is not true.
But they feel that way, though. So.
It's a feeling you all have, but the actual mathematical, the statistical analysis does not bear that out.
I was going to say, Matt, the guarantee and the promise that anybody who raises the right hand is access to healthcare. It's one of those things. And now you see the VA being cut, and you see, I know it was never perfect, but there's a lot of complaints and probably legitimate complaints about the VA, like everything else. And no system's perfect, but now what?
Well, now what is we need to recognize what the goal is, and it's been the goal of the conservative right for a long time, and that is the privatization of the VA. Because right now, healthcare providers and insurance companies aren't making any money off of these veterans that have to get constant care because of the injuries and illnesses and diseases that they contracted while they were in service. So, all of this money is just taken care. All of this money is just, afforded to these veterans for their care, when it's not going into the pockets of these large pharmaceutical companies, or, it's not going into the pockets of these health insurance agencies, or, the healthcare industry as a whole. We are a large veterans are at the hospital. I don't know the actual statistic, but I would wager a guess that veterans are spending more time in a hospital than the general community is, than the general population of the United States. I would argue that
Makes
veterans
sense.
are spending more time in hospitals because of everything that we have to do, right? While we're in service, and the problems and the injuries that are sustained. I would say that we spend more time. That is a huge untapped market of money that these healthcare providers are not able to get a hold of, because we're just taking care of it. And I guarantee you that the reason that the VA has been over the years systemically seen as a failure is done on purpose, right? We purposefully understaffed.
I can prove that to you through math. Well, that's one of the best conservative strategies of all time. You starve the departments you don't like, right?
Yep.
Let me hope it's happening to me now. I love a corgi. Thank you so much for this. I'm angry, but this corgi is licking me. No, and that's one of the oldest tricks of conservatives: starve a department, the Department of Education. Look how the public education is broken while we starve it. We starve it with same thing with the VA. And by the way, and I'm going to send this to you after, Matt, because I was doing this just for you. I did a statistical analysis on the TCJA, and I want you to know the new tax plan, the new budget is much worse for veterans. But just on how the TCJA starved the VA, stole from veterans who fought for our country, you have to understand the actual numbers. The problem, MAGA, is you guys have a lot of feelings, and you hear people that you think are telling you the truth say things, and instead of being like, oh, I'm going to do a statistical analysis and figure out if that's actually true, you're just like, well, some guy who paints himself orange every morning said.
Yep.
That's how you're being robbed, and believe that immigrants who walked through 12 countries somehow have your money.
Yeah.
By the way, $98 billion. That's what they gave you in 2023. Undocumented immigrants that they'll never get back to help you retire. Yeah. All that's gone now because we're using tax information to target them. So now make sure you come up with $98 billion.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard you make a pretty stark statement regarding the VA and taking care of veterans, Matt. It costs more to. I heard you say this before.
Yeah,
Tom, if you don't love being lectured, then you don't have to be here. This is what we call voluntary, not compulsory. You continue to be here whilst complaining about being here. It is the weirdest thing.
Yeah, the VA is being. I honestly think that this administration is starting to really starve the VA because it's cheaper to just bury veterans than to care for them. There are 22 veterans that delete themselves from this world every single day, and that's a low estimate, right? Because of the way that the VA tracks those types of statistics. That's a very low estimate. Most people believe that number is actually closer to 40 to 45 a day that self-delete themselves from this plane of existence. And they're doing that not because I can guarantee you that they're not doing it because they feel like they're getting too good of service at the VA.
Right.
They're not doing it because they feel like they're supported in every way that they possibly could be. They're doing it because the VA has been purposefully starved of resources to the point where we feel like there is no other option. It's too expensive for us to go out and get private health insurance because veterans have a hard time, especially those with any kind of PTSD, have a hard time maintaining employment. Because I don't know if you all know this or not, but having a severe mental health, issue like combat-related post-traumatic stress disorder rewires your brain to where it's really hard, unless you are in a lot of therapy, for a lot of veterans to reassimilate into civilian life when we get out of the military. And one thing that veterans across the board will tell you is that the transition out of the military is a fucking joke. It's literally a joke. There is nothing that they do to prepare you for reassimilation back into civilian life. It's you're a Marine one day and then the next day you're not. There's no transition. There's no, at least that's the way that it was when I got out. It might be different now. They might have tried to change it now, but
it's not.
Yeah, I don't think it is. But veterans. My point is that if the 22 a day that the VA puts out because of the way that they gather these statistics is too much, I don't understand how cutting more resources from the VA is going to make that number go lower.
It's like you said, it's the VA, it's Social Security, it's the post office, all these things. The goal is to privatize. Let's break them so the consumer experience is so horrible that we can justify. See, we told you how bad it was. The only way to fix it is to privatize it. So guess who benefits? Right. The same people in the class warfare that we're in now that are benefiting now. The same people that are robbing you blind. The same people.
Let's remember that the federal government is the largest employer of veterans in the country. Okay. The federal government employs more veterans per capita.
Over 20% of the federal workforce.
Over 20% of the federal workforce are veterans. Okay. This administration, in the 3 months that it has been this administration, has fired more veterans than every other administration in history.
Combined.
So not only are you starving VA of resources and equipment and financial stability, but you're also stripping veterans of their employment and their financial security that they had while working for the federal government. And you're going, and then I see, sorry, just one more thing. I see all these MAGA chuds going out there with their, on Fridays, they wear their red shirts so that they remember everyone deployed, the red, Red Friday, and they do their 22 push-ups every day so that they can raise awareness for the veterans that are self-deleting from this plane of existence every single day. And then they are championing what this administration is doing at the detriment to the veteran community. You're hypocrites.
What's the number? 15% of the house's population are vets? Is that, am I right about that? Something like that,
higher,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something like that.
And then a huge or LGBTQIA. I wanted to say this because I want to explain. And again, you have to understand what for-profit means. And every single thing that we're supposed to privatize, I could take you through a mathematical argument of how it would rob us. But I think talking about the VA, I want to talk because they are trying to privatize the VA right now. And I want to talk about that, why it's so important to not privatize healthcare. The reason that we're all Americans, and if you don't understand, you can do your own mathematical analysis and compare our healthcare system to others. It is not working. There are some parts of it that work, but it is not working by and large. Our outcomes are not good, right? And why is that? When something's privatized, who do they have a vested interest in? Not patients, not us, not Americans. They have no interest in keeping us alive. Their duty, their fiduciary duty, the legal responsibility is to shareholders. Mm-hmm. That is what privatization is. It's to create the most profit and hand it to the people at the top. And a lot of times in medical care, in order to create the most profit, that involves allowing people to unalive. That involves pre-auths, right? Automatic denials done by AI. Right? There is
Absolutely.
no vested interest in keeping human beings alive. Now, take Matt, someone who fought for our country, now has extreme mental health care issues and bodily issues and like Matt always says, it's a lot easier, it's a lot cheaper to let a veteran unalive than keep them alive, right? The upkeep is expensive. And what we're saying is, let's make profits the most important thing in healthcare for veterans, not the continued support. And when we continue in privatized healthcare, right, we have an emphasis in America not on preventative healthcare, not on let's get everyone the tests they need and the screenings, because that's cheaper. Universal healthcare models are preventative healthcare. You get the screenings you need and you catch cancer in stage 1, stage 2, when it's still
Correct.
cheap to treat. We have emergent healthcare, which is show up at the emergency room with no insurance in stage 4. That is the most expensive way to treat or to have a healthcare system to have. And furthermore, it's also the difference between privatized and universal healthcare is also about acute versus chronic. And I'm sure a lot of people in here have experienced this with their privatized healthcare. Acute illnesses, meaning I have a cough right now, right? But if you have an autoimmune illness, if you have a mental health care illness, a chronic illness that is going to require long-term care, it is like you don't exist. They want you no longer to be alive. It is not because you are going to cost them a lot of money.
That's right. I mean, it goes even a little bit deeper than that. I worked in the insurance industry for a while, and claim denial is a profit center. They include it in their P&Ls every year. That we anticipate denying between 20-25% of all claims, and it's literally a profit center. So, for people to make the argument or attempt to make the argument that we can't afford it. Like I've said this a million times, somebody make a coherent argument that they economically and socially we should not have universal health care. I will delete my account and you'll never see me again on social media. I wouldn't even think twice about it. You guys want to bring up we have some people that have requested. I think we want to turn this into an actual town hall. Frog's been waiting
getting excited just talking about this. Thank you guys. So we're almost to 350K. Let's get to 450K or 400K. I'm so excited. Just this conversation makes me realize this was a good idea.
I completely agree, and it's your brainchild, Philly, so take your flowers. Frog and Toad, how are you tonight? Thank you for being here. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm good. I just wanted to say, I've recently been involved with my local Democratic Party, and it's
a cat.
Yeah, sorry, I have two.
Cat too.
So they, but it's really interesting because I actually will say that it was kind of a learning experience. Like I kind of learned more about how at least at the state, local level of how our government works than I learned in all of my time of high school. Like, cause I honestly I didn't realize I didn't know anything about precincts. I didn't know all the bureaucratic layers that there are. Like I knew about gerrymandering, all that other kind of stuff, but like
sure.
But it's like I didn't know that it's like, oh yeah, these things are, I didn't know how far they were broken down basically. And it it was really enlightening, and I was like, and also while I was there, the first time being there, we did a whole like we I was the only person for my precinct, so we did a whole cluster thing, which I didn't know was a thing that happens. And then I became the secretary of the clustered precinct.
Good for
Um,
you.
I mean, yeah,
That's great.
just a glorified note taker, but yeah, I
No,
mean, it's something.
absolutely not. There has to be somebody doing it, right? It's got to be somebody to do it. Why not
But
you?
yeah, but it was interesting because then they had their convention recently, and I went to that, and it was like again, it was very informative, and but there was a moment there that again, this is my second time being around these people, and I will say it is mostly elderly people.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
is it safe to say, Frog? I want to kind of keep us moving here. Is it safe to say that you're chosen? You decided to dip your toe in the water, so to speak, right? And now you're glad you did. And I think what we're hearing, and hopefully the 720 people in here are also hearing, is that it was something that you never considered yourself doing. You decided to put your toe in the water, and now you're more actively involved in your politics. Safe to say that?
yes, but it also made me realize that there's a lot of there's still a lot of gatekeeping that happens at that level
Sure, sure.
because they went through the processes of electing people to certain positions within the party.
Yeah,
and,
that's the
and
bureaucracy. That's part of the machine that's going to exist. But my recommendation, I do want to bring up another guest, but what I recommend is that now that you've seen it, like I describe politics as like sausage making. Everybody loves sausage, but nobody wants to see how it's made. So you're now making sausage, right? And you're in their inner workings, and you can see how heavily bureaucratic it is. I can say that because I held state office twice when I was a lot younger. And I know things have changed, but there's still some bureaucracy that we can't avoid. But Frog, thanks so much for being in today. I really appreciate you joining us. Thanks a lot for being here, friend. Appreciate
yeah,
you.
no
Thanks
problem.
for being involved, most importantly.
No
That's
problem.
awesome.
Indeed. That is the big key. Thanks for being involved. Okay. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. If you're enjoying the show, please
Yes,
let Felice and
almost to
Matt know.
400K. Let's go. Tap that screen.
Exactly. Hi, Judy. How are you tonight?
I'm great. First of all, I want to thank all of you guys for touching on the healthcare thing. I am a chronic illness patient. I live with multiple chronic illnesses, and I'm constantly fighting insurance companies. I'm currently trying to find new doctors as I have moved to Nevada, and I actually had a really rough day today, but my passion is advocating for healthcare. My passion is being out there to speak for the patients that cannot speak or just aren't able to speak. And I want to dive into it so much more than I have already dove into it. And I'm actually going to DC in 2 weeks to advocate for the American Kidney Fund on the Hill. And as a kidney patient, I'm scared. As a chronic illness patient, I am frightened because I'm not just a chronic illness patient. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a friend. And I need to be here. But I feel like we are now living in a country that's working so hard against us that I want more patients kind of speaking up and coming out and telling their stories, because I think this is the only way we're going to build awareness and to get people to listen. That
Did you have
we're
a
not
transplant?
I have not. I actually
I should have said pre or post op. Sorry, I was too. I was at a point where I almost had to. I almost died like 5 years ago. So I understand.
Yeah, wait till almost 5 years
when
ago.
you flirt with it, whether you're pre or post op, the education and what happens in healthcare around transplantation of organs is one of the most. I have medical trauma. I still probably need more more therapy for. I was in a support group around it because it looked like when I woke up from a coma that my organs just weren't going to start functioning again. So I know exactly what you're saying, and I want to say this to you because like what you're saying, advocating for patients, the way you now understand the system, you understand the denials, you understand how to make those appeals, you understand the mental duress of what people are going through, the type of support they need. Like I used to help with the American Liver and also with the Kidney Foundation and be in the round tables that were filmed talking about what, like the type of support people need. Cause that's what needs to happen, like mutual aid and awareness. And I would be terrified too because of the cuts.
I actually had an experience today with, my new PC who I've only seen twice now. And she literally said to me, "Oh, your labs look great, but you have a little kidney disease." And I'm like, I'm stage 3B. I'm past little kidney disease. And it just was another one of those reminders of why we need to do what we're doing. Because I feel like those kind of things are going to get worse for the chronic illness community.
Yeah, you say, I mean, another element to patient advocacy is understanding what it is that you're being charged for and why. Hospitals will try to hide costs as best they can until someone asks. Then when you ask them produce an itemized bill, you realize that the sheet change in the middle of the night.
Tylenol was $500.
Exactly. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm like, I don't need. I'm not going to pay for the sheet change. I'll do it myself. Please, we're going to skip that one time where you have to come in and just look at the screen to make sure my daughter's still breathing. I'll let you know if she's not breathing. It's things like that we as consumers, because think about the situation that we're in. We're taking care of our loved ones. Our primary focus is on the people that are trying to get better. Meanwhile, you've got the system that you're literally charging you $500 for Tylenol. $1,000 to change the fucking sheets. Pardon my French.
We should not be going bankrupt to get better. We should not, like right now, perfect example, me and my husband.
Number one type of bankruptcy in America is medical bankruptcy. We're all one illness away from losing it all.
I get so tired of those people that are like, "Oh, well, it doesn't affect me because I'm healthy." Well, you're healthy today. I was healthy before I got diagnosed with my kidney disease. I was healthy. And, right now is a perfect example. Like my husband and I are trying to buy a house, and he can't even put me on the loan because I am so in debt because of medical stuff on my credit cards that I'm in a debt relief program. And that should not be the case. I shouldn't have to decide. I shouldn't have to decide, am I going to feed my kid today or am I going to pick up my prescription?
Well, Judy, obviously, thank you for jumping in and joining us tonight. Obviously, we wish you well in your journey. You got it. We wish you well. We wish everybody who's in your situation well, but I'm so sorry that you're dealing with that. But you know where to find us. We'll be doing this regularly, so thank you for being here. We appreciate you, friend.
Perfect. Thank you so much, you guys. And I love what you guys
You got it. Oh, sorry. I hate it when I do that.
Hey, so I know. This is why I don't like to be in charge of bringing people up, because I always do that too. And I'm like, no.
I'm sorry. We love you, Judy. Sorry about that. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Please give Matt. Please give Felice. And
we're
please,
so close to 400K. Keep tapping. You guys are amazing.
If you guys are enjoying this, please send some love. Kami Dyke, how are you tonight? Thanks for being here.
I'm hanging in there. I'm actually really nervous. Felice, we've talked about being around narcissists and what they do to you. So pitching an idea, period, is like just terrifying. And I'm already convinced you're all going to laugh at me.
Exactly. Or shoot you down.
Yeah,
no, I know exactly.
Right. Or tell me how crazy
the perfectionist in you is
terrible.
The narcissist made you a perfectionist, because if you say one thing wrong, it's like it crushes you. I get it.
And then the ADHD, fear of rejection, is like, wow. So anyways, that's all out of the way. My biggest thing, you guys were talking about what you're fighting for. And for me, and I'm probably going to tear up, but that's fine. It's my family. I lived away for like 20 years, just because, I mean, they're super MAGA, super religious, very evangelical, whatever. And I'm super gay and not like that anymore.
The same person.
Right. That's one of the reasons I love you. I can relate so much to like everything you say and where you come from. But like, I can't be the only one that feels like these people who have brains, they do know how to do math. They do know how to research. They're just being lazy. They're just only swallowing down every single thing that dribbles out of Charlie Kirk's mouth and calling him the smartest man alive. Like, that is so disappointing for me, someone who grew up in a home where being intelligent was everything. So, yeah, it was like you had to prove that you're smart 24/7. And it was constantly like you're just like posturing with each other all the time about shit. And so I can't be the only one that would be interested in trying to. I think I might be able to convince like my dad or my mom to sit down with one of you guys because it's not me, right? And to like have a debate with one of you. And Facts, I don't know. I feel like you'd be amazing.
Bitter gay people's parents. That I love
Right.
it. Yes,
Right.
bring them
Like-
in. Let's do it.
Like, could we
The parent
arrange a
whisperer.
thing where we? Right,
No, let me.
where we,
Okay, at Pride in Arizona, there was these two dads, and they had a booth, and they were just straight dads, and it was called "Play Catch with a Dad" because gay people have been like denied by their parents, and you
Right,
just
like,
got
why
to
didn't
like
they go to my
throw a ball with a
love
dad.
that.
Oh my God, it was
God,
so
that's
amazing.
amazing.
I have their number. I need to contact them. But yeah,
For
like
real.
I agree with you. So many people,
There's
how
so
many of
many
us want to
loved
scream at our
ones.
parents?
We're like, my mom will only listen to a man, right? She won't listen to Felice as much as I wish that she would.
Oh, I know what you mean.
She would only listen to one of you guys. Or I even thought about, there's another creator I don't even know if I should talk about, but that I think my dad would really relate to. He's kind of, for me, he's like the left of Joe Rogan. And that's what my dad did too, right? Like, he used to listen to Rush Limbaugh. So this is not only a way to like pre-vet your debate people, knowing that they're probably intelligent enough to have a good conversation and might even listen and won't probably call you names, because I can tell you, I don't think my parents would do that. If they did, I'd be shocked and I would extra never talk to them again. So anyways, and that way, like, we could put together like leads of people, you know, that people want to talk to you, give you like, you know, the rundown of like who they are. And with their consent, if they agree to it, have them sit down with you guys, maybe not live, but then later after the conversation, get their consent to post the video.
Absolutely. Or even a phone call. I don't care. It doesn't even have to be publicized.
I mean,
I just would like to have them talk to somebody. Yeah, I mean, sure.
I mean, I would literally
absolutely.
take $50 out of my grocery budget to make that happen. Right. So that would also be something that could contribute to your guys' fund for legal defense. Right. And to help fund what you do. So I'm just trying to think of ways that like everyone can win.
The night the angry veteran spent in jail. No, I appreciate you saying that, but no, that's not necessary. That's very kind of you, but I won't speak for Matter Felice, but I'm absolutely sign me up. I would be honored.
Steve would love to do that.
Right. And like, okay, so if anybody
not, I'll
here wants
smother him
to,
with a pillow after.
Right. If anybody here wanted to like share their contact information and put it all in one place, like on a Discord, or I mean, I don't have my own server.
I think this
I could like
a good
harbor the information for you.
I think this would be a good thing where we get our the email set up for this.
Yes.
Where people can send into that email being like, hey, if you've got time, here's somebody that I'd like you to talk to in their day.
And then when we get a Discord, we'll have a channel of like, want us to yell at your parents?
So why do we do this?
I mean, which one of us? Maybe you want them to get the hard truths from me.
Right. Like,
whoever you want to yell at your parents.
That they think would be the most effective, that their parent is most prone to listen to. And we could even share on the lead, like, okay, these are the issues I think my parent would respond to the most, or my loved one, right? It could be anyone. But yeah, Felice, also, I just wanted to say that this is kind of your fault, because you were telling us, like, I think yesterday, to use your powers for good. And I've been in sales for a long fucking time. And then
Exactly.
today
Love
you were
that.
like, get creative, think about what you can do. And I thought, well, I mean, leads, right? Like sales and leads. And then like
Lead
even
gen.
putting together
Perfect.
a
You could be
form
our lead
email.
gen. I also used to be in advertising sales. They called me the Rain
Right.
Man.
Yeah, I would be really good at it until I figured out the catch, and then I would feel bad, and then I would just plummet in sales. I would always be like the top, right, for like a month.
Empathy always creeps in.
It does.
She has friends. You got to go. You have actual friends. I don't.
Yeah.
Nobody calls me.
So, what I would suggest, I mean, I absolutely love the idea, and the chat's been blowing up. People are like, we could do a voice call in Discord if that's a possibility. If you want to reach out, if it's myself, I don't care whoever it might be. I mean, it doesn't need to be published. Like that's not what this is about for me. Obviously, if the impact that a published or a public conversation like that might have in others could be very, very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy to help. However you want to do it, you can message me directly. You can reach out to, please join our Discord or join Matt's, join Felice's, and we can make this happen. Because was one of my sort of almost.
Steve loves this. I
love
yell
it.
at
I
anyone's
love
parents.
that you love this. I'm so excited. I was even thinking that like if the person that wants this to happen, if they don't think they could get convinced, we could come up with a form email that's like, hey, this creator heard that you're really intelligent and that you might have some good points or concerns regarding yada yada. And I was hoping you'd be willing to debate to help me and my content.
Love it.
I don't know, something along those lines.
Let's gaslight them into it. I agree.
Yes.
I'm more of like if someone wants me to make their parents feel small and unintelligent, that's my department.
If it doesn't go well, then yes, I will give you full reign
I'm
to
step
just,
two.
Prank call. Yes, you are like whatever because it's already trash at that point,
the shame king.
Exactly, that's me. I'm like, if you need me to dominate your parents.
So
you can dominate me anytime,
just so you know, even the chat below has already said that they're already working on a plan. So Sam and Eve have already got a plan in the works. So we will figure this out. And I'll put this offer out there for anybody. Again, I'm not going to speak for Matt or Felice, but I'll put this out there.
To our resources, all the minds that we could hopefully reach and all the families we could restore. And with the strength of our families, we can all do better.
Agreed.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm so grateful that you came up to talk to us about that. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Me too. You guys are the best. I watch you all the time. I shared y'all on Facebook, and then I shared, what did I say? I said town hall with the greats. So yeah, because everybody loves you, and thank you so much for all you guys do.
Appreciate you.
Feelings mutual. Thanks so much for the great idea.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm so glad we're doing this.
All right,
bye. Thank you very much. I freaking love that idea. I mean, I think these are the kinds of things that we didn't necessarily.
I've seen you so excited about something.
Well, those are the conversations we're all desperate to have, right? People who are willing to listen.
Oh, it's like I couldn't do it with my own parents. Maybe I could convince someone else's parents to love me and adopt me. Is that not what we're doing? No, never mind.
That's a different conversation.
I thought that's where we were going with that. All right, never mind. Okay.
Hi, Sunny. How are you tonight? Thanks for being here.
I'm doing okay. Thank you guys. I have been following you all for quite some time. Excuse me. I am kind of nervous, just as the last person was up saying the same thing. I am a huge advocate for veterans. I am a Gold Star widow, and I will be celebrating my husband's unalived in Iraq in 2 days, 21 years ago. I can't tell you how angry I am at this administration about our veterans. And how he makes all of us feel, all of our veterans here on American soil, everywhere in the world,
Agreed. Agreed. And I just want to real quick, Sonny. I think that one of the forgotten demographics when we talk about veterans are Gold Star families as well. We don't talk about the sacrifices that the Gold Star families have made enough.
I don't feel like I have ever. I feel as though I am so sorry. I'm crying.
No, please
Don't
don't
apologize.
ever, do not
Cry.
ever
That's fine.
apologize for that.
I
Don't ever
feel
apologize
as
for that.
though we have been forgotten about. They
100%.
send me a check every month,
Yep.
and then I'm forgotten.
Yep.
The
And
resources, the health care. It's horrible.
It is. It is.
We need to do more for our veterans.
And we need to do
I
more.
have nobody. I have nobody.
And for you. And for you.
Right. And for their families.
Should be therapy, support, care, right? Yeah.
You deserve the help as much as anybody, Sonny. You made a sacrifice as well. You've lost. And the families of veterans who, whether they were unalived overseas in Iraq, like your husband was, unfortunately, or if they self-deleted themselves after they got back, which so many more do. We lost more veterans here on our soil because of that than we did overseas. And the families are the ones that suffer with that. And there's not enough resources for you all. And this is one of the things that I talk about also when we talk about the VA and the resources that are available. These are things that should also be included in those resources. Sonny, you shouldn't feel like you're forgotten. You made a sacrifice. You have experienced tremendous loss. And if anybody should be supported that's, veteran adjacent in this situation, it should be our Gold Star families. You should have just as much resource and care provided to you as I do at the VA, because you've experienced something that I haven't experienced. But our situations are ingrained in one another. Blah, blah, blah. Ingrained in one another, right? They're right there with one another. You and I, Sonny, we're family because you've experienced the loss of your husband overseas. And I've experienced the loss of friends overseas, right? And so there should be more resources available for you to ensure that you don't feel like we just throw a banner up in your window and now everything's all fine and dandy and you're able to move on with your life. That's not how any of this works.
It's just been horrible. I don't understand how I started TikTok 5 years ago and I left Book of Face. And I came over to TikTok because I wanted to start a page where I could help widows and widowers of the Gold Star families. And I finally got to a point where I could go live, and I was shunned. And I had comments.
What happened? What just happened? I don't know what happened there. That's awful. What just happened? I don't understand what happened there. Live didn't get taken down. We're buffering. What? That was so weird. I don't know what happened. Matt and Felice, if you guys are out there, I don't know if I should restart. Are we still up? Can you guys hear me? There was a buffer and then... No, I think long glitch was gone. You guys can hear me okay? So I don't know what happened. That was the strangest thing. Hang on a second here. I think I'm going to restart. No one can request now. The multi icon is gone. So I'm going to restart. I'm going to restart. Everybody, please come right back. See if that helps. Crazy. I have no idea what happened there. Very strange. I have no idea what happened.
No clue.
No idea.
Not a single idea.
Somebody said
away.
Somebody said the live was lagging, and then everybody, because the live didn't go down, just you two, and then Sunny just disappeared. So I don't know what happened about that. So Sunny, if you're back out there, I think what I want to let you know is that my mods have reached out to me to let you know that they sent you. If you check your DMs, if you're hopefully you're listening, Sunny. If you check your DMs on TikTok, you'll notice an invitation to join the Discord. We have developed a pretty intense community that is really supportive. So hopefully you're hearing this, Sunny, if you're out there. Maz, hopefully you caught Sunny, and just please reach out to her. Just let her know that we've opened up Discord for her so she can come in and have conversations. I wanted to hear the story about her husband, but Matt, thank you for saying what you said about Gold Star families. I think that's so important. So glad that happened. Hi, Liz. How are you tonight?
Hi, I'm doing okay. So I wanted to comment on healthcare, but first I don't know if Sunny's here, but I just wanted to comment to her that I'm grateful that her husband, made the ultimate sacrifice. My grandfather was a World War II veteran, actually both of them. My paternal grandfather was nearly unalived in France. And woke up back in the United States in a hospital. Had he not woken up, I would not exist. So that's a meaningful part of my story. And it's very frustrating that most of his children, and therefore a lot of my family, have voted Trump. And I think it's an insult to what he was doing in Europe, fighting for over there.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Thanks for bringing that up, Liz. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
The more and more stories we'll hear about that. But again, thank you for being here, and thank you for your support of what we do. Appreciate you, Liz. Thanks a lot.
I did just want to make a comment on healthcare, if I can.
Go ahead. Sure, go ahead.
because you and I have talked about this, but for anyone that's listening, I'm in Spain. We have universal health care. We also do have private health care. We have both. I use both. And honestly, it's a lifesaver. If you are in the United States and have never had a chronic illness, you have absolutely no idea how costly healthcare is. I have two incredibly expensive diseases. I have ALS and long C19 that require a lot of healthcare and an enormous amount of consults in the hospital. And I would probably be around $500,000 if I was in the US right now with all, and it has cost me nothing, like zero. I haven't paid a copay. I don't get bills sent from the hospital. I mean, it's paid through our taxes, but the entire country contributes. And Spain is a country that values community still, not as much as they used to, but certainly more than the US. And so everybody here is happy to have universal health care and paying higher tax rates than they probably would in the United States. But it just goes to show that, and Spain is like a disaster of a country. It is in Europe, but it's considered within Europe, it's considered like a third world country. And so if Spain can get it together, then the United States shouldn't have a problem.
It's a good way to look at it. It's countries that have decided that one of the most important things they can do is to invest in the health of their citizenry, which is the whole point, right? You prioritize the things they should do. Exactly. Liz, thank you so much. I appreciate you, friend. It's good to speak to you again.
Yep. Thanks. Have a good night.
See you later. You too.
I knew I recognized Liz. I remember. We have talked to her. Thank you so much for the flowers.
Yeah, I mean, again, so this is one of the points in the foundational tenets of what we're trying to do here is to try to give voices to the voiceless. And like Sunny, it's so unfortunate that conversation had to end when it did, but it's things like that. I think she'd said that she's never spoken publicly about her husband. And I think it's, that's why we want to do this. This is why we want to have these virtual town halls. Again, as a reminder, this is the effing fight for, and much like anything else, I think we're going to wrap actually. Much like anything else that we do here, everybody has something that they're fighting for. So just think about this. Use the hands off ... model for what we're trying to do here. So I think this is probably a pretty good spot to wrap, since we are, who knows what's going to happen with TikTok. But I would like to see if anybody of my amazing guests and friends, that's the most important thing to me, would like to offer anything in closing as we're wrapping up here. Matt, why don't we start?
So just reiterating, joy is resistance. Find a reason to smile and laugh and love in this time where that's hard to do. What fascist regimes want is you to be apathetic and hopeless. So make sure that you continue to laugh. It's so important. And don't feel guilty for laughing. Don't feel guilty for finding joy. There is a lot of terrible all the time. And it's very easy to take all of that on yourself and then feel bad for laughing or for feeling happy when you know that there are so many people out there that are suffering. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You need to refill yourself, recharge your batteries if you're going to help others. So joy is resistance. Find those reasons to smile and laugh.
I want to say something to Matt.
Please.
No, I just want to say, Matt, I think that you are such an example of someone who can be like very masculine yet empathetic at the same time. And that's what we need. Like, I mean, I don't know. Since I've known you, you give off a certain vibe, but then the more I get to know you, the more I'm amazed by you. And I'm glad you're a father who has children. So it is and same goes for you, Steve. But I mean, I've known you longer, but every time. I mean, I love to watch
beard.
men display empathy and their ability to like dig into the depths of themselves and find empathy for others. And again, none of you deserve a gold star for not being shitbags, but like I do.
Good point.
I
Don't
feel
want
very
one.
I do feel very lucky to know both of you and to get to work with you. And I think tonight has been like such an example of how this is needed, right? Like people have stories to tell, important stories to tell, things to say. And as we go through this and explore a variety of different topics, like it just brings us closer together. Like I talk about, you know, until I went to a lot of therapy for my PTSD and other things. And I feel like for the first time in my life, I'm building real community, like real people in my life, you know, relationships based on shared interest and and mutual respect and trust, which is not how it went in my childhood. So I always tell people, like on the people's receipts, like we're a family, right? And we're keeping each other sane. And that's what I want to stress. Like the communist in me wants to stress that community is how we will survive this. Right? Even if democracy falls and we're all still trapped here, it is the bonds of community and mutual aid is how we will continue surviving and thriving. So like, it is a pleasure to do all this with you, for you, together, because I just didn't know the joy of like having real community, real trust and respect. So thank you.
So well said to both of you. Really, really appreciate that. So we do know that there are some people that are in down at the campus of Texas A&M as we speak, trying to push back. So I know Pickles is down there. So we're going to raid Pickles. I think they are streaming. There has been a pretty energetic crowd, I think, as the resistance movement is happening everywhere. And keep in mind that the resistance is everywhere. Joy is resistance, whatever it is that you need to do to fill your cup. And I really like what Matt said, and I say it a lot. You cannot pour from the cup if the cup is empty. Make sure you're filling yours. We will do this again. I'm assuming you folks enjoyed this tonight. Please reach out to myself and Matt and Felice if you like this. If you have some ideas, we will work on getting an email set up that will go to the three of us so we can create more content. But look for us in the future. The three of us will put our heads together. We'll have to have Felice's brain will take up most of the space, but we'll just be there to fill in the void. And then we'll decide what the schedule is going to look like either next week or the week after. Right. But we will land on it. And I want to thank everybody. Thank you, mods.
Tell Pickles I said hi.
Yes,
love
our
you
mod
guys.
community.
Thanks for everything.
Our mod community came together tonight, and by the way, to help us with this. So thank you, everybody. And we're going to raid Pickles. Thank you all, friends, for being here. We love you all.